why do we get non-union? And I'm going to focus only at the moment on osteoporosis, not on those other mechanical fractures. You can see non-mechanical risk factors, osteoporosis is one of the reasons. Now, we use molecules to treat osteoporosis. Some of us forget, some don't. So it's important to have a good, friendly physician or endocrinologist who can look after, so you can sleep well at night. Unless you want to get involved in all the sort of, physiology of osteoporosis. So does osteoporosis really hamper healing? So many of our elderly patients, wrist fractures, proximal humerus, proximal femoral, they heal. They even collis fracture without treatment heals. So really, but there is evidence that your callus is weak in osteoporosis. Your osteoporosis affects the middle and late periods of fracture healing. Your BMD measured is a quarter less. And if you start breaking these bones, they break with much lesser force. So osteoporosis does have an effect on bone healing and callus formation. So how do you enhance your fracture healing? You are fixing it well, you don't want to come back to this patient, you don't want this patient going to your friend down the road. So what you can do? You can improve your surgical techniques, you can add fixations as I showed you, you can add bone graft. Most people in this room will say IT fractures don't need a bone graft, intracapsular are replacing. But is there a problem adding bone graft? That's the question. You have to deliver BMP to the fracture site. When you start nailing, you're doing closed surgeries. How do you deliver the bone graft? And of course, we all now get bombarded by MRs about medical treatment. And all of us use some sort of medical treatment. So this I want to show you is a bone grafting technique. We don't put artificial. You can see these are the reamers that you're going through the femoral tissue guard for your PFN. And you can see the bone that is collected. Now that bone, if carefully collected through your serial reaming, from 8 mm, 9 mm to 16 mm, you can collect a lot of graft. This graft is then put in this device. This device has two parts. It's not homemade, it's available in the stalls in our conference. I'm sure some of you have seen it or probably even using it. So it has a receptacle in which you load the graft. You can see in the bowl there is a lot of graft collected only through our reamings. We have not added any granules. If you carefully collect this, and remember these are osteoporotic, you can argue that this is burnt bone, but you hardly use force. You collect that, put it in the receptacle, you have a pusher that will gradually push the bone graft down. You just fill it all up as much as you can. You may need to do it more than once if you have a lot of bone graft. Now this grafting is done closed. You can see that as you fill it up, the device will push it, it will appear at the other end. You can see that this is real-time video. It has taken you hardly a minute to fill up the graft. Once it's all filled, confirm that it's out at the other end. And then through the incision of your locking screws, you can actually put this device, or through your entry screw of the femoral head screw. Either of the incisions can be used to put this device. In a non-comminuted fracture, you can put it anteromedial. In a comminuted fracture, there is access, you can put it even posteromedial. Carefully load the graft, push it out, confirm that it's at the other end. And through that incision, you can see you can deliver it with the help of C-arm where it is, put your device and with the pusher, push the bone graft. If the exposure is correct, sometimes you will see the bone graft going in and you will see a small cloud there. And that's all the time it takes. You've seen the time. This gives you sometimes a well-healed fracture, satisfactory result, and you sleep well. It causes no damage, and I see only benefits in doing this. And it's free. We use bisphosphonates. Do they affect fracture healing? There are these trials from the JBJS, from Osteoporosis, and other journals which show that starting bisphosphonates immediately or within 3 months do not affect the healing. So giving bisphosphonates for fracture healing is not ideal. Most of us use teriparatide, even for fracture healing. We say at least take 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And we say it's off-license use. Why is it off-license? Because the evidence is limited. So these are the actual papers. What teriparatide does in animal models is increases callus formation, callus volume, strength of the callus, and improves osseointegration even of implants. There are some references to this, but not yet widely available for officially for fracture use. So teriparatide injection improves pain and improves mobility. Now this is what the MRs bombard us with. Scissors quadrangularis. Some people in this room may use it, some don't believe in it. But look for the evidence. Don't just throw it away because it's non-allopathic. Remember, the buzzword now is reverse pharmacology. You try to go and reverse the drugs which are present for 5,000 years and see whether there is evidence or not. In the present scenario of randomized trials, and scissors in mandible fractures has shown to have advantage. There is also shisham, which has probably got better evidence than scissors quadrangularis. Obviously, you can refer to this article which I've written with Dr. Amma Vaidya for more evidence on these. Now, having used this, you can see, I say we have well fixed. We can see my fixation is pretty bad. It's a 90-year-old refused TKR for OA knees, and this is the best I could do on table. You can see his post-op x-rays closely. It is lateralized rather than medialized. However, I gave him teriparatide. I gave him the cocktail of medical drugs available, as I told you, scissors and shisham and all. This is a 6-week and 3-month post-op x-ray. And look at the florid callus at 1-year x-ray. No infection. This implant outlived him. This is the next thing. My friend here, Jawahar, uses this, cementing the DHS screw, allowing the fracture to collapse. So the cement is only delivered around the tip of the screw. This is the new thing, TraumaSem. This is for use with your femoral nails. This is a step. You can see that the guide wire is pulled out after the nail. Your screw is in, nail is in. You need not do the distal locking. At this stage, you can take out the guide wire and connect this device and inject cement. So this cement holds in the head, doesn't allow screw toggling and screw migration, but allows collapse at the fracture site. Usually 3 to 4 syringes. You may wonder, wow, so much cement has gone in, but it goes in and it slowly forms a small flower around the screw or spiral blade of the device that you're using. This is a commercially available device. And you will now see as the video moves to the screen of the C-arm, the TV, you will see how the cement is getting loaded. At this stage, the cement is all still in the device. It's not yet out. And when it comes out, it forms a flower. I'm sure some people in this room have used this device. I personally have not. But this is again to augment your fixation. So we are trying all this to improve our fixation, whether it's primary bone grafting with autograft, with granules, the use of teriparatide, the use of molecules beyond allopathy, and the use of this cement. I think you have to choose what works for you, what works in your hands, and what has the least side effects. But whatever we do, you need to fix the fracture well. We cannot blame badly fixed fracture and then depend on all this, though I have sometimes got away with it. You can see the cement coming out there. This is the end result. Thank you.